Hey YouTube, welcome back to LadyGi. Thanks so much for joining me again. My name is Zenab. I, along with my husband, we own Affinity Academy. We are a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu academy located in Northwest Calgary in Canada. Today I'm going to be talking about sport hijabs, what to look for, what type of hijab is good specifically for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. There's so many different types out there, and I get a lot of questions from people all over the world on what type of hijab that I use. I've been training for about 7 years now. I've tried and tested so many different types, so many different brands, different fabrics. I've also designed my own sport hijab, and I hope to get it mass produced one day in the near future. I'm also going to be reviewing 2 sport hijab brands, one that I use very religiously, pun not intended, and the second one that I recently purchased because of all the hype around this particular brand. So stay tuned for that. All right, so the number one thing that you want to look for when you are purchasing a sports hijab is the color. Color is important because when you are training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, the IBJJF rules, that's the International Brazilian Jiu Jitsu Federation rules, state in their rule book that any head coverings need to be black. IBJJF is very particular when it comes to training in their tournaments. When it comes to colors, gi colors, you're only allowed white, black, or blue uniforms. You're not allowed to bring, colorful type of uniforms. And it just speaks to the type of professional, high-level competitions that they run. So black is the only color that you are allowed to wear. It also states in their rule book that you cannot have excess material when you are competing. The reason for that is simply for safety. If your fingers get caught in somebody's fabric, if they're not wearing a rash guard, let's say they're wearing a t-shirt, which I don't believe they would actually be wearing a t-shirt, but let's just say, for example, if there's any kind of loose material and your opponent's fingers get caught in that material, during a scramble, your fingers can tighten up around that loose fabric, and then you can potentially lose your fingers. So it's just a safety measure, so make sure that you look out for that. The second thing that I always look for is the shape of the sports hijab. I like my sports hijab to kind of hug my head. I don't like having excess loose material. First of all, because of the rules with respect to IBJJF, but also because when I'm moving my head around and I'm in like a headlock position, I don't like that extra material just kind of loosely hanging there. It just really gets in the way. It's really annoying actually when you're training. You just want something not flapping around when you're moving around. You want something that's just going to stay connected to your head the whole time. Okay, the third and probably final thing that I look for when I am purchasing a sports hijab is the quality of the fabric. I look for material that is lightweight, stretchy, breathable, and I also look for something that is washable. So because I do laundry all the time, like literally all the freaking time, because I train every day, my sports hijab goes into the wash every single day. Is it machine washable? Can it go in the dryer? Does it shrink? Does it dry well? Does it fray? Those are some of the things that I look for. All right, now let's get to the actual product review. Now there are 2 brands that I said I was going to review. There's the Haute Hijab as well as the Asiya Sport. The Haute Hijab I was really excited to try out just because it's Haute Hijab and everyone knows them. They're a leading brand in the United States. Melanie, if you follow her on Instagram, she's such a funny character. She puts a lot of time and effort into her products. However, I was not sold on the sport collection. It just didn't work for me for jiu-jitsu. I'm sure that it's great for other types of physical activity, but for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, it just did not check any one of my boxes, and so I was sadly disappointed. From Haute Hijab, I ended up ordering the Flex Fit, the Crisscross, as well as the Tech Cap. The second sport hijab that I wanted to review is the Asiya Sport. The Asiya Sport hijab is the one that I wear all the time, and out of all the different brands that I've ever tried out, this is probably my absolute favorite. All right, so in my hands I have 2 caps. This one is from Asiya Sport, and this one is the Haute Hijab. So let's talk about the Haute Hijab cap first. This is significantly larger than the Asiya Sport one. I usually wear this underneath my sports hijab, so I don't just train in this. Although I know a lot of people, it's why they came out with it. Some people just like wearing this over their hair, and it just kind of keeps their hair away, and they just train in that. If I can choose something that I like about this, it's probably the craftsmanship. They sewed it very nicely. They did overlock stitching, so the seams are nice and clean. The material is very soft. I just did not like the size. This thing is huge compared to what I'm used to wearing with the Asiya Sport, and it was just kind of flapping everywhere. It didn't really sit nicely around the ears here. It was just really loose, and so I had to keep adjusting it. So if I have to do that when I'm training, that just doesn't do it for me. All right, so now let's talk about the Asiya Sport. So as you can see, that this one is a lot bigger than this one. So with the Asiya Sport, the material is very soft, it's very stretchy, it's very lightweight. They also did a lot of overlock stitching. The craftsmanship is actually pretty good with this one as well. They also have this little, so if I turn this inside out, they have this little, I don't know what you want to call this, strap that's supposed to kind of go over your head so that it stays in place. I don't really use this part. I just kind of put this over my head, but this one just covers my head entirely. It just fits very snugly, whereas with this one, it's just really, really big, and I'm not sure why they made it like that. This is the smallest size, but it's just, this one is just too large. So the Asiya Sport, it just fits very nicely on my head. All right, next with the HH brand, you have the Flex Fit hijab. So this just has so much material. It's just really, really big. Kind of looks like a ghost, but there's just way too much material here, and I'll show you what it looks like when I have it on my head. They also have this drawstring at the back so that you can tighten it. It's supposed to kind of keep your hair in. I ordered the smallest size in all three that I ordered, but it's still really big. And I'm not sure if that's the case for all of them or just this. Maybe they made a mistake with one of these for sizing, but I just thought this is just way too big, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's on my head. All right, so right now I'm wearing the tech cap underneath as well as the Flex Fit. And as you can see, I'm just gonna turn this way, there's a lot of loose material here. So this for jiu-jitsu, this just does not work. There's just so much extra material. Back here, they have the drawstring. So if I go underneath, I'm gonna pull the drawstring, show you what it looks like. So it's gonna pull that out. It's probably as far as it goes. So this is still very loose. So if my hair were to come out, I don't think this is really gonna hold anything. It's just there, but it's not really doing much. Okay, so now it's tucked in. There's just still so much material here that if someone were to grab the back of my head to pull me forward, as you do in jiu-jitsu, the hijab would just go with it. And so that's something that you just want to avoid when you are shopping for a sports hijab. This one is just way, way too loose. And I mean, it looks fine. I don't really care how I look. I know a lot of girls always want to look cute in everything they're wearing. I really don't give a crap. I am not there to make a fashion statement. I'm just there to train, get choked out, and choke someone else out. So that is your Flex Fit. And like I said, I'm wearing the tech cap underneath. Okay, this is the crisscross, because it's crisscrossed in the front here. Lots of material, it's very loose. I'm just gonna turn this way. It's not really hugging the head as much as I would like. All of this, like I said, if I were to get grabbed on the head, because we do that in jiu-jitsu, pull forward, this would go with me. So I actually had my husband put me in a headlock with this hijab, and it nearly fell off. So I did try training in this as well, and I was just adjusting it the whole time. It's like I was doing this the whole time, that I ended up changing out of it halfway through class. It just is not working for me. Just all of this is just way too much excess. I'm not sure what the motivation behind that was. I wonder if they were trying to make it as breathable as possible, but this is just a problem because we get tugged on very frequently, and you just want to make sure that it stays on your head. So now I'm going to tuck it in. So even with it tucked in, and I obviously do tuck my other hijabs in when I train, like I said, you get pulled on the head, you get pulled this way, that way, this is gonna go with it. And I've seen it happen so many times when we train. There's just the loose material, it just doesn't work for jiu-jitsu. The Asiya Sport hijab is a lot smaller. It's not as flappy, not a whole lot of material here, and it just sits on my head a lot more comfortably. Okay, and this is the Asiya Sport. So with the Asiya Sport, I'm wearing the cap underneath. I can't remember what it's called, but I am wearing that underneath here, and that just kind of keeps my hair all together. And by the way, when you are training jiu-jitsu, you should not be making a bun under your hijabs. You need to braid your hair because it is going to come out. There's nothing stopping it from actually falling out. This cap is very tight. It's not tight to the point that I'm going to get like marks on my skin, but it's tight enough so that my hair stays together and I don't have to adjust it at all when I'm training. So I'm just going to turn here. You can see how there's like no loose material around my head. It's all very compact, and you can see here like it just kind of follows the shape of my head, which is exactly what I need. Okay, so it's all tucked in. I'm just going to turn to the side here so there's no loose material whatsoever. It kind of follows the shape of your head. It's exactly what you want for jiu-jitsu. So if someone were to pull you, the only thing that's going to go forward is your head, and that's perfect. So this is near perfect. This is my favorite one that I wear. Like I said, it's very lightweight, very, very, very thin material, and I've washed it so many times and it hasn't frayed at all. Don't have any rips or anything in it. So yeah, that's the Asiya Sport hijab. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully this will give you more insight into what to look for if you are training in BJJ in particular. And thanks again for supporting me on this new venture that I'm taking, this new YouTube channel. It really means a lot to me. So I would really appreciate it if you would either subscribe or share it to someone that might find this information helpful. Till next time, bye.